you're just nervous, and I'm sure that this will pass. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day. Our dedication wanders. I'm hurt from what I hear, but then the rain falls down, and you wipe away my tears. The stars are everlasting, but even they shift sometimes. We slow down, catch our breath, we'll be fine. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day.
Things will come to pass. Don't let it be blue. Time and hope go together. You know our time will come. Until that day, just keep holding on.
Tomorrow is another day. It'll come to pass. Tomorrow is another day. You know it won't last. It'll come to pass. You know it won't last. Yeah.
Shalom Ashtika, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Jeremy Beaton, Chief Rabbi. We are reading today from the book of 1 Corinthians, starting at chapter 11. But first, I'd just like to show you the books we're reading from today. So the first book is The Hidden Truths, Hebraic Study Scriptures, New Testament, New Covenant. And for references, we will sometimes go to The Hidden Truth, Hebraic Scrolls Tanakh with commentary. And for those of you who want to learn about the Sabbath and the Holy Feasts and the prayers, please buy yourself the Forever-Israel Siddur, Daily Living Prayers. So all of these books have been transliterated by Rabbi Simon Altaf HaKohen from Hebrew back to the English. And all of these books can be purchased on Amazon. So without further ado, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. 1. Be you imitators of me, even as I also am imitator of Messiah. 2. Now I praise ye, brothers, that you remember me in all things, and guard the traditions as I handed them to you. 3. But I would have ye know that the head of every man is Messiah, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the Messiah is Yahweh. 4. Every man petitioning or prophesying, having his head veiled at the forehead, dishonours his head. 5. But every woman that petitions or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonours her head, for that is even all one as if was shaven. 6. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shaven. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shaven, let her be covered. 7. For a man indeed ought not to veil his head, forasmuch as he is the image and glory of Elohim, but the woman is the glory of the man. 8. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. 9. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. 10. For this cause the woman ought to have covering on her head as a symbol of reverence because of the messengers. 11. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in Yahweh. 12. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of Elohim. 13. Judging yourselves, does it look good that a woman petition to Yahweh uncovered? 14. Does not even nature itself teach ye that if a man has long hair, it is a shame to him? 15. But if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. 16. But if any man seems to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the congregations of Yahweh. 17. Now in this that I declare to you, I praise you not, that you come together not for the better, but for the worse. 18. For first of all, when you come together in the congregation, I hear that there be divisions among you, and I partly believe it. 19. For there has to be heresies among you, that they which are approved may be revealed among you. 20. When you come together, therefore, into one place, this is not to eat on the day of our Master, the day of Shabbat, Sabbath. 21. For in eating everyone took before other his own supper, and one is hungry, and another is drunk. 22. What? Have ye no batim, houses, to eat and to drink in? Or do ye despise the congregation of Yahweh, and shame them that have not? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise ye in this? I do not praise you. 23. For I have received of Yahweh that which also I handed to you, which the Master Yahushua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took lechem bread. 24. And when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, Take, eat, this is my body, which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me annually. 25. After the same manner also he took the cup, when he had supped, saying, This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Do this annually, when you drink this, in remembrance of me. 26. For as often as you eat this lechem bread and drink this cup, you show the Master's death till he comes. 27. Therefore, whoever shall eat this lechem bread and drink this cup of Master unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of Yahushua. 28. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that lechem bread and drink of that cup. 29. For he that eats and drinks, eats without careful regard, not discerning, for the body eats and drinks judgment against itself. 30. For this cause many are weak and sick among you, and many sleep. 31. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. 32. But when we are judged, we are chastened by Yahweh, that ye should not be condemned with the world. 33. Wherefore, my brothers, when you come together to eat, wait for one another. 34. And if any man is hungry, let him eat at home, that you should come not together to condemnation, and the rest will I set in order when I come. Okay, so that now brings us to the end of 1 Corinthians chapter 11. So let's go back and have a look at some of the footnotes in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. So the first footnote we have is in verse 1. Be you imitators of me, even as I also am imitator of Messiah. So let's have a look at this. So we have here, walk as Messiah walked, keeping the Sabbaths, feasts, and the halakot, laws, like clean, unclean, all count for walking in Torah obedience. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 2. Now I praise you, brothers, that you remember me in all things, and guard the traditions. Okay, let's have a look at this, guard the traditions. So please see footnote, Galatians 1, 14 to 15. The traditions Paulus here refers or referred to are not rabbinic customs. Okay, let's read that again. So please see footnote, Galatians 1, 14 to 15. The traditions Paulus here referred to are not rabbinic customs. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 5. But every woman that petitions or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. So let's have a look at this. So if Christian women uncover their heads, they will receive judgment. But all Hebrew women must cover their heads when in prayer. They can uncover their heads in public if they so wish. But in older days, it was custom to wear head coverings, as it was very hot outside, to protect your head in the Middle East. In reality, a husband is his wife's covering, and he can direct her to cover or uncover her head in public. In today's society, our women could be in danger if they cover their heads, as some people may think they are extremists, and they may try to attack them belonging to another religion, such as Islam, that has some of its adherents propagating extremism and hatred towards others. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is a continuation. For that is even all one as if she was shaven. Okay, so let's have a look at this. As if she was shaven. So the context is from Torah in the book of Deuteronomy. First, when was a woman ever taken from captivity, meaning false religion and forces of evil? This is mentioned in Deuteronomy 21, 10 to 13, when a woman was brought from captivity, meaning her old life or life of slavery. Her head is shorn to show she is no longer in the authority of her old husband, false god, and is now set free. The husband would give her 1 month to mourn her old life. Then he would cover her with new garments and a new Hebrew head covering, which is favor under her new life. The other time when someone's hair was removed was Samson, when he lost his strength. Judges 16:19. Samson grew his hair after repentance. He regained his strength to kill many thousands of Philistines. Paulus also pointed to the second example of Torah in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 22 and 5. A woman shall not wear anything that pertaineth to a man, nor shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all who do so are an abomination to Yahweh, your power. Retrieved from the book of Samuel the prophet. 2 Samuel 15:30. David went up by the ascent of the Mount of Olives, and wept as he went up, and he had his head covered, and went barefoot. And all the people who were with him covered their heads, and went up weeping up. This was 500 years before the Babylonian exile. Remember, the foundation is always Torah, and should never contradict Torah, else it cannot be doctrine. In Eastern culture, and even Western culture, when a woman is without head covering in her home, this is when her full beauty and glory is shown to her family. And at times of intimacy, when she is with her husband, he sees the glory of his wife in full view, which is hidden for the public when she wears a head covering. This is the norm in Eastern culture, because if women all walked around with heads uncovered, it can bring a lot of trouble for the men, as they often fall in love with women. This reveals to us the meaning that the glory of a woman is concealed from the public to protect her, and glory revealed, head uncovered, in the home is only for the husband and her children. So both the husband and children show their full love for this woman, who is both a mother and wife. Note, only for married women to do what their husband tells them, but single women did not cover their heads in ancient times, as it showed they were not taken in marriage. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 6. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shaven. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shaven, let her be covered. So let's have a look at this. So if a woman refuses to cover up, then Paulus recommends for her to have her head shaved, so she understands that how she looks without hair. The same way, how bad is it when you stand before Yahweh and uncover your head. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 7. For a man indeed ought not to veil his head. Okay, so let's have a look at this. In ancient Israel, the practice of the great Rabbi Hannah ben Joshua became universal practice because of his humility and influence. He never walked 4 cubits with an uncovered head, for he used to say, the Shekinah, Yahweh's presence, resides over my head. Kedushin 31a. The custom of wearing a kippah is firmly appointed in the Shelekim Arush, Ora Kayim 26151-6 and 282-3. All Rabbim wore head coverings, including Yahushua. That is how Rabbim were recognized. Hegesipus, ancient Nazarene historian and commentator, in 185 CE, wrote, but when the set-apart band of emissaries has in various ways closed their lives, and that the generation of men to whom it had been vouchsafed to listen to the godlike wisdom, then did the confederacy of godless error take its rise through the treachery of false teachers, who, seeing that none of the apostles any longer survived, at length attempted with bare and uplifted head to oppose the preaching of the truth, by preaching knowledge falsely so-called So http://www.natzrayaY.org/library/hegeseepus.html. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 10. For this cause the woman ought to have covering. Okay, so let's have a look at this. For this cause the woman ought to have covering. So we have here the Aramaic word sholtana can mean power or covering. The King James Version used the word power, but the correct wording according to Hebrew culture is covering, as it is commanded and not optional. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is a continuation. On her head as a symbol of reverence. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So it says reverence because of the messengers. So let's have a look at this. So this is in reference to Yahweh as submission to him. Okay, let's read that again. This is in reverence to Yahweh as submission to him. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 14. Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a shame to him? So let's have a look at this. So the Talmud instructed that every 30 days all priests should cut their hair. Ezekiel 44:20. The hair cutting in those times according to the Talmud was short. Sanhedrin 22b. Yahushua also would have had short hair and not long hair like a woman depicted in many erroneous pictures until his Nazirite vow later. Keeping long hair was a sign of humiliation only done during the Nazirite vow for a set time. Yahushua was a black man, African, look-alike, so had locks. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 15. But if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So long hair does not negate head covering. It's only been given as an example. Rome had a law against long hair. Okay, so even Rome had a law against long hair. So let's go to the next footnote. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 20. When you come together, therefore, into one place, this is not to eat on the day of our Master. Okay, let's have a look at this. So Aramaic has the day of our Master as confirmed by Dr. Lance's translation, and the day of our Master Yahweh is always the day of Sabbath, and not a supper, which was inserted in most likely by the Greeks, Hellenists. Okay, let's read that again. So Aramaic has the day of our Master as confirmed by Dr. Lance's translation, and the day of our Master Yahweh is always the day of Sabbath, and not a supper, which was inserted in most likely by the Greek Hellenists. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 25. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the new covenant. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay, so the new covenant that Yahushua ratified with his disciples. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is a continuation. In my blood, do this annually. Okay, let's have a look at this. In my blood, do this annually. So we have here, Please note this is an annual observance. The word often found in the KJV and other translations is not in the Greek and inserted to make it sound like this is a weekly thing, but it is not. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is also in the continuation. So when you drink this in remembrance of me. So let's have a look at this. So Paulus is reminding about the Passover to be conducted of remembrance. The habit of drinking wine every Sunday and calling it is not a church tradition and not a biblical commandment. The modern Jewish people do the Kiddush prayers every Sabbath, starting on Friday evening with their family, when they recite the benedictions over the cup of wine and bread and thank Yahweh for the Sabbath. The church took this from ancient Hebrews and made it into a communion on Sunday. The Hebrews are, of course, correct, and we should do this as this is how the disciples behaved as well. Okay, so that now brings us to the end of 1 Corinthians chapter 11. So I thank you all for watching. This is Rabbi Jeremy Beaton saying thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. Baruch Shem Kivod Malkuto Leolam Va'ed. Benevolent be the name of his esteemed kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen.